Welcome to Progressive Mindset Podcast. My name is Natalie Potts, business coach and mentor, and each week I'll bring you an inspiring personal message to help you unlock creating a living life full of energy, action, impact and happiness. And today I'm delighted to be working on Jonathan, the country coach, who specialises in supporting people who want to make a change to their life. As a mindset coach, we touch on high performance and the elite mindset. If you are looking to reduce your anxiety and ultimately thrive in everything you do, then this episode is for you. Enjoy. Thank you so much for joining me today. Absolute pleasure to have you on. I always kind of kick off with you sharing your story as a guest, how you got into coaching and a bit around your niche or who you want to work with, why, and just go with that really.
Okay, so I am currently a teacher and I am hoping to transition from teaching into coaching full-time. The reasons, I've been a teacher for 20 years, but for a lot of that time, I was a PE teacher. Interestingly, as you go up the school through the hierarchy, you tend to teach less of your chosen subject and more of the subjects that there are shortages in. So about 5 years ago, I retrained as a maths teacher, and I was never, ever in a million years interested in maths at school. Wasn't something I ever thought I'd do as a career, let alone have 30 children relying on me to provide them with education to pass their exams. So quite daunting, but I like a challenge, so it's something I've taken on. But the more I did it, and the more I have done it, the more I felt a little bit like a fraud, in the respect that they think, rightly, that I'm the fountain of all knowledge, and really I'm just one step ahead of them. Whereas when I was a PE teacher, it was my passion. I've always loved sport. In an ideal world, I'd have played professional sport if I could have done, but stars didn't align. So, I went into something that I thought would, ignite that passion and could allow me to pass on my knowledge and expertise to young people. And like I said, it's kind of reduced to the point where it's virtually non-existent now. So I've made the decision that I really want to coach in the sporting environment, just to fill that void, if I'm really honest. And I use the word void because I really do feel like there's something missing because I don't have that sporting involvement. I'm 40. I don't play competitive sport to the level I used to. So you miss the camaraderie, you miss the teamwork and that feeling of belonging. And I'm hoping that by niching with mindset in a sporting environment, that's something I can rekindle and get back, and then obviously help some people along the way.
Yeah, phenomenal. And I think you know a little bit, but I love fitness as well. And like you said, we shared before the mindset part that comes in with coaching people around that. And how did you find coaching? Like, what was the moment when you realised you do want to be a coach and that's for you?
Do you know what? Interestingly, it was always something I've done as a teacher, as a senior leader. You get conversations. The head teacher comes and says to you, "Oh, would you mind coaching so and so?" Or this kid's struggling at the moment. Would you mind coaching? So it's always something I've been aware of. It's always something that I've done inadvertently through the roles that I've had within the school. So when somebody said to me, "Have you thought about becoming a coach?" I just thought, well, I'd do it anyway. It's question based, helping people find their own way. I think in schools, people forget that there are 1,000 human beings with their own personalities and their own thought processes that actually do need to find their own way rather than just being dictated to all the time. So it's a fantastic fit in schools, and with colleagues and with the students themselves.
Yeah, completely. Absolutely. I think people underestimate the power of coaching and actually what it is as well. And I know it's much more natural and it's a big thing in America. And I feel sometimes when you are a coach and you get into certain worlds, you assume that everybody knows about it. Same as I assume everybody knows about podcasts. And then some people will be like, no one knows what a podcast is. And I think it feels the same with coaching sometimes in the UK, that people are like, what do you mean you coach? And I'm like, oh, I do this. And they're like, well, you get paid for that. And it's like, yes. Yes, I do for helping people. So yeah, and I absolutely love it. And I think I was sharing with someone this weekend actually he's a PT and he's building his business as a PT, but also looking to go into different ways of building his business with this. And we were talking really about really getting your why and talking about niche again. Niche just comes up so much. And we were saying, do we really need to say, you help this person do this? Opposed from actually, he said he was chatting with somebody and they were just saying about, how does it make you feel? What is the experience you want people to go through by working with you and come out at the end of coaching? What do you want that change to be? And it just got us into a completely different conversation about the kind of, again, the reasons why we do what we do and how it makes us feel and that experience part, and then how you can package something opposed to, I help you do this and this and this. And it was just a really interesting conversation. And it was one of those, and this is what I love with coaching, is that I went away and I was, I've been thinking about it all weekend. Like, what does that mean to me? What could it mean to my business? How would that shift things? What does that mean to my clients? How do I get that out there? Lots of different questions. And you start to coach yourself, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they do say that you're your first client, aren't they? So
yeah,
I'm constantly questioning everything I do all the time, but in a different way now. Mm-hmm. Rather than, I used to berate myself for mistakes that I've made, but now the beration is gone, and I'm just, what would I do differently? Why did I do that? How could I adapt that? What have I learned? And I just, that's the mindset. It just changes the way you look at things. Total different perspective.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit more around where you want to work with people in the fitness space and what's really appealing about that. And who, if you were coaching your ideal client now, who would they be?
My ideal client now would be a sports person playing at the top of their game. And I say at the top of their game because I think performance is a really interesting word. I mean, I look a lot about high performance, and I talk about high performance a lot when I speak to people. Yeah. And when you consider performance, everybody thinks elite level. Everyone thinks, you've got the Euros on at the moment, you've got the British Lions tour going on in a few weeks. So, they're at the pinnacle of their game. But there's no reason why you can't be a high performer in your own field. You've just got to be working at the best of your ability. And, my dream would be to, you get a phone call from the British and Irish Lions, could you come on tour, please? We need a mindset coach. But I'm realistic. That's a few years down the line, maybe. So people that just want some help overcoming a challenge that's preventing them from playing or performing at their optimum is my ideal client. That could be an up-and-coming tennis player, a young cricketer, even team sports. I'd love to work in a team environment, looking at the cohesion of a team or any conflicts in the team that are preventing them reaching the next level. And that would be just an absolute dream.
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? High performance. I like what you say about it's, like being your best of you can be. And I was listening to Jim Rohn this morning because I'm kind of obsessed with his material at the moment, and it was all around goal setting and again, actually just focusing on, he doesn't use the term why as such, but the reasons, which is the same for you doing what you do, and really tap into it. And he said people don't achieve their goals because they really don't know the reasons why they are doing something, and really tap into that. And it was just really interesting for me to think about my own goals and think, am I really tapping into them enough in terms of reasons to really commit myself to actually taking action on some of them? And yeah, it's just really interesting then about thinking about then, like you said, how much effort do I put into being a high performer within each of those goals, almost without putting too much pressure on yourself, as well, but really stretching yourself to adapting, like you said, the mindset. It's then adapting and reframing a set of skills and qualities as a person, as a high performer, as a leader, to every type of situation, isn't it, really? So like you said, if it's an obstacle or whatever they're working on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm a very, very average golfer at best, but I'm really trying to, change my mindset on the golf course from that of, anger when I play a bad shot to, okay, I've played a bad shot. Let's make sure the next shot is better. And can I learn from the mistake? Or even, okay, that hole was a write-off. Let's start the next hole as if it's a brand new round. And I think that, you can learn a lot from the elite people that you watch on TV or watch live, because they've been through the challenges that we've been as, aspiring sports people. But the pressure that's on them and the way that they can adapt and bounce back is just phenomenal. And I just find it inspiring.
What do you think is it that they have that is, innate, that is so different? Because there is something different. You can talk about like people like Muhammad Ali and, David Goggins, Kobe Bryant. I'm obsessed with. I've listened to, like I've shared before with you, Tim Grover's book Relentless is phenomenal. I listened to a huge amount of Kobe Bryant's interviews, Michael Jordan, and when you look at them and you just think there is something distinctly different about them. It's almost like the X Factor, isn't it? You can't almost define it, but I think a lot of it for me sometimes comes down to just this pure commitment of discipline and ultimately consistency in what they're doing.
Yes, yeah, I agree. And I think the difference between a very good sports person and the sports people at the absolute pinnacle of their careers is that innate drive to succeed, whatever challenge there is. Absolutely whatever challenge there is. And they'll find a way with their support team, with their coaching team, to get over it. I mean, I find Roger Federer an absolute inspiration of a man. I mean, the guy's virtually my age and he's still playing. He's still playing at an unbelievable level. I mean, his game's adapted because his body's he's not as supple, and he's probably not as flexible as he was. So he's had to manage his injuries, manage his body a little bit better. But his drive at his age just to compete and keep going, because he could have retired years ago. He made his money and could have just quit and said, thank you very much, I'm going to live a lovely life now on what I've earned. But inside him is that drive to just keep going. And that's your difference. That's your Jordans, that's your Bryants, your Federers, your Nadals, your Djokovic's. I mean, elite soccer players as well. They are amazing role models. And I don't think people quite understand or necessarily respect the level of commitment that these people put in. Cristiano Ronaldo is a fantastic example. They see the flash cars, they see the watches, they see the holidays and the jewelry, but the conditioning that man puts himself through on 7 days a week, throughout the whole of the season, the pre-season, there's just amazing athletes with the mindset of nothing is going to stop me from achieving what I want to achieve. And that can just filter down into, I'm going to call it as normal people. But if you've got that mindset, it doesn't matter what you're doing, you're never going to get beaten. You're always going to achieve your goal.
And it's commitment, yes. It's sacrifice as well, isn't it? And I think people always say that we shouldn't have to sacrifice stuff, and the balance. And I remember a couple of years when I was doing lots of fitness shoots, and I was getting up at 5 a.m. I was training I was doing cardio for an hour in the morning. I was going to work. I was finishing in the evening. I was going back to do another 2 hours training. I was then doing all this walking to keep, my NEAT training in, and like getting home at like 9:30, eating. The next day 5 o'clock again, and it was constant, and it was just like I did that solid for 9 months, and it was absolutely, you just sacrificed everything. I didn't go to barbecues with friends, family, and that was just 9 months, and I just thought, because I wanted to get myself in that place and achieve something different for myself. And I guess the question to you on that is that, what are your thoughts around having a very compelling vision and versus letting that go, having that set, but doing every single day as the process? Some people are big on, you just keep going on, the vision, versus some people are like, you've got to get in every single day on a process.
Are you talking from a coaching perspective, or
it's the same, isn't it? That, it's what they do is just, they do that in the same way, but is it that these people and great coaches also really have to focus more on the now?
It's a really good question. I mean, I think about myself, and I'm not in for a minute proclaiming to be a great coach. I'd like to be one day, but obviously at the moment training is very much paramount. But there is an element of sacrifice even at this level. You've got stuff to do. You've got a 9-to-5 job. Well, teaching actually is not really a 9-to-5 job. It takes much more of your time than that. But you've got your commitments to work. You've got your commitments to family. But then you've also got the commitment to yourself. And I believe that, and you talked about balance earlier. I believe that if you can balance it, but also prioritize what's important and what can go by the wayside, you still can have that mindset of achieve at all costs. But it's just recognizing that some days you're just going to have to say no to something, because of the prior commitments that you do have as a parent, as a colleague, as a friend, husband, wife, whatever role you're playing, whatever hat you're wearing currently during the day.
Have you found as well that by doing coaching, the relationships that you have around you, whether it's family, friends, work as well, have changed, and the way you look at your environment has?
I have irritated the hell out of my wife over the last what month? So I started this in January, over the last 6 months, because she is sick and tired of answering questions. Because everything now is followed with a, so why are we doing this? Or what are we going to gain from doing this? Or have you thought about doing this differently? And some days she just said, can you just stop answering questions? Just stop asking questions. Just give me a straight answer. You don't need to analyze me. You're not coaching me now. Just give me a straight answer. But I found it really useful with my kids. Really useful. I've got an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old. And my 11-year-old, she's just going up to secondary school next year, and it's been really useful because she's now in that position of independence and wanting to do a little bit more of her own thing, and giving her questions to answer rather than saying you must do this, you must do this, you must do this. It's really the autonomy in her life is just, I think she'll grow from doing it, I hope.
It's interesting actually. The question I've got around that is kind of, if you were to look back yourself to a younger person, what would you have changed and be doing slightly different if you were younger, do you think, knowing what you know now around coaching?
I wouldn't be a teacher. I played a lot of sport when I was a kid. I played 3 games of rugby when I was trying to do my A levels. So, I was relatively bright, but not to the point where I was ever going to go off and be, lawyer or a doctor or anything like this. So I wanted to be a sports journalist. And because I was playing so much rugby, I wasn't reading the texts. So my English literature was awful, really, really struggled. And at the time, my dad was a PE teacher as well. And he said, you've had a great life from me being a PE teacher. Now, totally different era. His measuring stick on a great life was tickets to Twickenham and Wembley and Wimbledon, which is great when you're 17, 18, but probably not going to pay the mortgage when you think about it when you're 40. He said, well, why don't you become a PE teacher? You like sport, you like doing the stuff that you've done because of me. Why don't you make a career out of it? And instead of saying why, or do I really want to do that? I just said, yeah, it sounds like a plan, because I don't really know what else to do. Yeah. Now it's a different era. We're talking 22 years ago when I had to make that decision. Now the world's a much smaller place. Links are different. The way that we work is entirely different. The careers guidance that you're given at school is completely different. So yeah, would I change? No, not in a million years. But would I have done something differently? Yeah, I'd probably said, really, why do you think that's a good idea?
Yeah, I look back and definitely think how powerful it would have been if I'd have explored some of the things I explored when I started coaching, like 26, I think, and actually did it, at 18. I think things would be very, very different. And I think that's why, like you said, actually, it has a great place to play in education. And I know it's massive with, especially the academy, since I've joined, there's a whole diploma in just education and coaching. And I know a very good coach in it, Natalie Costa. And it makes a real difference. And I know it makes a difference, even like we were just sharing there, you were sharing about your daughter. The conversation I have with my 4-year-old niece is very different. I've read the Mind Paradox books, the children's one, Silent Guides, and that's all around, again, bringing in, your values into conversations with children and looking at, asking different questions, reframing, like you said, fear with them, failure, those types of things, and almost creating the foundations and the belief system in them to be strong right from the start, because we know when we get to adults, like you just said, you kind of fear things, and that's where it just links back to beliefs from our past, isn't it, and our childhood, etc. And if I could have cemented that and changed that in a different way, I think I would have flourished and be in a different place right now, probably.
I totally agree. I mean, as a parent, all you want to do is make sure that your child is safe. And you wrap them up in cotton wool until they rebel against that. But I think at a point between you starting to unwrap that cotton wool and the rebellion stage, I think is a really good place for confidence building, resilience. I mean, the world that we live in now is cutthroat. I look at the number of children that are going for course. We're not even talking about sport anymore, just courses, and the competition for places at university, the competition for places on A-level courses. Even at the age of 16, you've got to have a resilient nature, resilient part of your psyche, just to get over something like getting into college. And I mean, don't even get me started on football clubs and releasing children at what is the absolute optimum time for them to go one of two ways. So that's a question for another time.
If anyone's thinking of joining the academy and going through that journey now, what would you say to them if they were kind of on, not sure whether to make that commitment or not? What would you be saying?
Oh, I don't regret it for a second. It's a lot of work, juggling. I mean, I'm doing NLP as well at the moment, and something that you learn about in NLP is your motivation. And when I first started the coaching, it was very much an away motivation, in terms of I want to do it because I want to leave teaching. And actually, the more I've done the course and the more I've learned and the more I've read, not just coaching, but you start to read about the stuff that you're really interested in. It becomes a towards motivation, and it's no longer about leaving teaching. It's about, I want to be a coach, and I want to be a mindset coach, and I want to work with the people that I've already talked about. So if anybody said to me, would you recommend the academy? I think it's a fantastic organisation. The support they give is brilliant. we're working in a tough environment at the moment. Everything's on Zoom. It'd be great to be able to coach people face to face. It'd be great to be able to go and meet the tutors face to face and spend some time at HQ and do stuff like that. But Zoom, it works. It's not ideal, but you're still getting the same diet that you'd get extended over evenings. But I love it. I can't wait to do my next. I've got an accelerator day tomorrow night. It's my penultimate. So give me 2 months and hopefully I'll be accredited.
So I always kind of wrap up and end with 5 key questions. So I'm going to shoot them out to you and let's see what we've got. How do you measure success?
Starting point versus where I finish.
Okay. What's the finish part?
Depends what the context of success is.
Okay, interesting one. And what we kind of touched on, what would you tell your younger self? So I'm going to find a different one next. I know we've spoken about books and stuff before. What book has had the biggest impact on you?
That one is where are you? I've lost it. Taming My Monkey Mind by Don McPherson.
Yes, you said about that. I need to look at that for sure.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. What do you want to be known for as a coach?
Getting people results, supporting people, helping people with their drive, helping people with their challenge, having that element of understanding. Someone asked me at the very beginning of my journey, actually, what do you want to achieve? And I said naively, I'd like to be a name. I'd like to be somebody that they refer to in this field. So, people can roll, we talked about these amazing sports stars, in certain circles, I'd like to be spoken about as somebody that gets results in this area.
I know what you mean, that feeling you get as well from that, isn't it? It's like when you get a testimonial and, things like that, they have no value in terms of monetary or anything. It's just that fact that you've made an impact in someone's life.
Yeah.
And like we said earlier, you've changed the way they feel and the way that their life is. And that's a phenomenal feeling. I get the same when I do volunteering, that kind of feeling that you're just giving something and you're not wanting anything in return. It's an amazing feeling of almost accomplishment. I was looking at that this morning with the mental health work that I've done and how people feel about being volunteers. And I think it's really powerful. And I think you get the same with coaching. You're serving, aren't you? And you're serving in a positive way. And that's the big thing around environment and who you choose to be with. Hence why I asked that question, because you start to notice that the world around you changes and it shifts. And lots of people say, oh, people are very negative or don't believe in me. But when you start to change that, and over time, those people you either decide to let go or you just don't associate with in the same way. And you actually have a world around you where people do believe in you, and therefore that does empower you more and it keeps you consistent, it keeps you committed. As much as we say there is that discipline, etc., I bet you bottom dollar a lot of the elite athletes and mindsets that we just spoke about, the world around them have to have people that are either they are incredibly supportive of them or they just have to let them go.
Yeah.
That's what I can imagine.
Yeah, I agree. Two years ago, I was doing some work with somebody on myself, not through coaching, and I came up with an analogy, and it was that your life is a play. Now, some people will be a character in your play for the whole of the play. Some people will be on there for a couple of acts. Some people will be on there for a couple of scenes, and your play's not finished and you write your own play, and it's totally up to you how long these people stay in your play for, because you can write them out at any time. So if you don't like the fact that they're making you feel bad about yourself, they can quite easily walk off that stage and never come back on again. It's your choice.
Sure. What can people do to live a more purposeful life?
I think the clue to the answer in that question is within the question, and it's purposeful. It's to it's to find a purpose. And again, we talked about people working at the absolute pinnacle of their career, whether it be in sport, business, show business. They've got that because that's where they excel, and that's where they get paid an enormous amount of money. But I still think that you can have a purpose and not be earning amazing money. I mean, my purpose at the moment is to make sure my children finish school, and me coaching as well as teaching will allow us as a family to live the life that I want my children to live, to make them whole, rounded, decent human beings. So when they fly the nest, they're not coming scurrying back because they've made millions of mistakes. Now, fair enough. I made a lot of mistakes when I was a kid, and my parents were there to pick up the pieces for me, but you learn from them. And that's what I hope my children, it's almost a legacy rather than a purpose. The legacy that you leave is the purpose that you seek, if that makes some sense.
Yeah. Amazing. Look, thank you so much for your time. I really value it. Where can people find you, John?
I go by the name of The Country Coach, which is a little bit weird, but my name, Jonathan Skelton, has got far too many syllables in it to have any kind of decent sounding coaching business. So I call myself The Country Coach because I live out in the sticks and I enjoy playing games in the fields with the kids and stuff. So it's a place where I like to do most of my thinking, and it just fit and it sounded good. So yeah, I'm on Instagram under The Country Coach. I'm on Facebook as The Country Coach Essex. And I also have a website, www.thecountrycoach.com.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to my podcast today. I really hope you've taken some value. If you would like to focus on achieving your purpose-driven goals, then reach out and share with me one thing that's going great for you right now and one thing that you're really struggling with. Let's see if or how I can help you to leverage your business to make more money, make an impact, and have more freedom. As always, go take action, make an impact, and have a great day.